Hey group leaders! Well, typically you do not see my face on these videos. Usually it's just Dave, but today we wanted to switch it up a bit. And so with us, we have Marjorie Dean. If you haven't met her, she is our outreach director. I'm Adrienne, if we haven't met, and I'm the communities coordinator. And then Dave is our communities pastor. And so today we want to talk to you about the rhythms that we talked about at our last pre-semester training. And so whether you were there or not, we talked about our rhythms, which are truth, community, worship, and mission. And we're switching it up, and we're going to start actually with mission because we think it's really, really important. And also we feel like mission really ties into all of the other rhythms. And so with that, we're just kind of going to do a roundtable discussion. You're going to hear me say a lot of ums. You're going to hear a lot of pauses, hesitations. Just work with us. We're just here hanging out, and we just want to talk to you guys really about that rhythm of mission. And so with that, Dave, I'm going to start with you. Yeah. Why is this rhythm so important?
Well, this rhythm in particular is so important for a lot of different reasons. But I'll say really, one of the reasons we want to lean into mission first instead of starting with truth, which is maybe what we would often do. And we do plan to hit all of those at some point or another. But mission seems to be the one that we've encountered the most problems with in terms of participation and group leaders stepping in. That's not to say that nobody's done that. There certainly are groups and group leaders who have spearheaded that. But overall, the participation in a rhythm of mission in our groups has been lacking, quite frankly. And so we really want to try to address that, try to be helpful towards that. How can we support? How can we help direct? And so that's a lot of what this is about. Often the mission piece can feel like it's the hardest to do because maybe it's the least understood about what we mean by it. And so it can also take the longest in terms of planning and stuff. Like some of the other rhythms can be real spontaneous, and mission can as well, but a lot of times there's more planning involved in it than the other one. So we want to hit that. But really, when it comes to why mission is so important, is ultimately a couple just real quick reasons. I'll just try to set the theological basis for what we're doing before we get really practical. But it really comes down to purpose. Like this is the foundational, fundamental purpose of our existence, that we are created in the image of God to be a reflection of his glory in all of creation. That God creates the garden and he puts man and woman in it, and he says, go be fruitful, multiply, fill the whole earth with my glory, have dominion over it. Basically he's saying, take what I've created in Eden and spread it throughout the whole earth. Bring my glory to bear, my kingdom to bear on the whole earth. That's been the mission from the beginning. Jesus shows up after everything goes really, really badly. He doesn't come with a new mission. He doesn't go, well, that didn't work. We're not worried about that anymore. He comes and he reinstates the same mission. He says, go into all the world and preach the gospel, make disciples, reach the lost. Basically, I have all the authority now. I'm the king. We're going back to the beginning. You're going to partner with me to rule and reign over the whole earth, to bring my kingdom to bear on the whole earth. And so it's the same mission. It's just done now through a different means. And it's ultimately done now because Jesus is king and he sits on the throne. And so that's our purpose. That's the reason we exist. So this is a really important thing. If we want to live a fulfilled, satisfied, I'm accomplishing what I was made to do, it has to involve mission on some level. Secondly, I would say mission is fundamental to our very salvation. I don't want to get too deep in this, although I feel like we could probably do like 18 sessions on this. But too often the gospel gets boiled down to this idea of, I just need salvation from my sin. I just need somebody to keep me from going to hell. And that's an important piece. I'm grateful for that piece. Thank you, Jesus, for doing that part of it. But it is only a part of it. That salvation primarily is, I make a really bad king. I make a really bad Lord of my life, and I need someone who can do it better than I can. And Jesus comes and says, his salvation is his lordship. We often talk about, I need Jesus to be my Lord and Savior. his lordship is his saving. And so like the very idea of what we're doing, the very core of our salvation is we need a new king who shows us a better way to live, who gives us a better kingdom to be a part of. And so mission is right at the core of that. That means I'm in submission to the king. And if the king is doing something, then I need to be doing something with the king. And the king's pretty clear that he's still a mission. He says, go into all the world and I'll be with you even to the end of the age. That's hey, the reason I'm with you is because I'm still on the same mission as the king to bring my kingdom to the whole world. So it's just fundamental to our salvation that what we need saving from is we need a king with a new kingdom. And so that kingdom gives us a better way to live. And then we want to be witnesses to, I've experienced a better way to live. There is a new king, and his kingdom is better than any kingdom the world has to offer. And so I'm going to submit my whole life to letting people know about this new king and his kingdom. Mm-hmm. Again, I could go on for a very, very long time about all of that. And with that comes, again, the idea that when Jesus calls us to follow him, his call is to be like him. And again, he is always on mission throughout his whole earthly ministry, and that mission has not stopped. That mission continues to this day. And so if at all we want to be his disciples and we want to become like him, then a rhythm of mission has to be part of the equation, or we won't become like him. And so that's just, again, a fundamental part of discipleship. Thirdly, I'll just say real quickly that all the other rhythms we could talk about when it comes to truth, worship, community, they all have personal application. There's an important personal piece to those rhythms. But when we're talking corporately, and that's really what we're trying to focus on here, is not just the personal rhythm of mission, but the corporate group-related mission rhythm. All the other rhythms are preparation for this rhythm. Like, we study truth so that we can be transformed by it. We worship, we submit ourselves to him in the practices that we pursue. We gather together in community so that we can be better prepared to accomplish the mission. In fact, the mission is accomplished best in the context of community. I think I said this in our training that everything that Jesus calls us to do is best accomplished in some sort of community. So few of the things he's asked us to do are meant for us to do on our own. And so the context of community, the studying of truth, the response of worship, all of those things are preparation for the mission. In fact, one of Jesus's greatest, calls to us throughout his ministry is, hey, if you've heard the words I'm speaking, do them, obey them. Don't just be hearers, be doers. That's what the brother of Jesus, James, would tell us. Jesus is saying those who hear my words and do them are like those who build on a firm foundation. Those who hear my words and don't put them into practice are fools who have shaky ground to stand on personally and corporately. And so that's kind of a dangerous place to be. We want to be in the place of Jesus has given us this command. We want to be like him. We want to follow him. We want to submit to our king and see his kingdom grow throughout the earth. We want to be on mission.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's the short answer. That's as short as I can make that answer.
Yeah. If it gets too long, we're just going to push him out of the screen and just be me and Marjorie. But Dave touched on it a little bit with mission. But I just want to kind of come to you and hear more about the mission here at Lighthouse, and specifically when it comes to outreach and missions.
Yeah. So Dave mentioned that, a part of the mission is reaching the lost and making disciples, right? And what I love is I want to try to incorporate that into the outreach mission statement, which has been tweaked. It's been updated a little bit. So it's love like Jesus to leave an eternal impact everywhere we go. So I thought we could kind of break that down into the segments to look at what that mission really looks like. So, how do we love like Jesus? Well, we found a great quote in our Familiar Stranger book, and it talks about how like Jesus isn't physically here anymore. He doesn't physically have hands and feet. We do. We need to serve as his hands and feet and love like him. And thinking of the ways that Jesus did love, like his disciples in washing their feet. That was, a selfless act that he did. And loving like him and seeing Jesus saw the people that he healed. He saw the people that he ate with and interacted with. And so we are called to love like him in that way, to have our eyes open and an awareness, right? We'll touch more on that on the end of the mission statement. But that's the first thing we need to do in this mission. We're reaching the lost and making disciples. Well, we can't reach them if we're not loving and looking for opportunities to share, to serve somebody. So
you mentioned The Familiar Stranger, which is a great book.
Yeah, I'm like, wait, let me hold it up so you guys see it. John also talked about it from the stage, and that's kind of where we started reading this.
It's been a great resource for us in a lot of different ways. Obviously, we've used it in the Holy Spirit series, but also in this. There's a quote I think that Adrienne had pointed out. I'd love for her to read for us that I think speaks to this point.
Yeah. Marjorie, you kind of touched on it, but just to read it directly from the book, it says, Christ has no body now on earth but yours. Yours are the eyes with which he looks compassionately on this world. Yours are the feet with which he walks to do good. Yours are the hands with which he blesses all the world. And just that, like thinking of that okay, Jesus has shown us how to do this in his word, and now he has gone, and now we truly are the hands and feet. Right. we talk about it. All the feet together.
Community feet.
Yes. And even like with community, this is just like side note, but something I feel like God has been showing me lately of like, we don't have to be in community, but it's through his selflessness. Like he could come and meet us just one-on-one, the two of us, God, us together, but just how selfless he is in truly letting us be in community, and how often through community we're pointed back to his truth and his promises. Like it's such a blessing that he doesn't have to do that, but he allows us to be in community and do this together. And so,
That's good.
Yeah. I feel like that's just been something that's really helped me. And even when we're talking about outreach and that not being a one-on-one thing, it truly is to be done with others to spur us on in our faith and get closer to him in that. And so another part in the book is kind of the idea of the action for versus action from.
I was gonna mention that, Dave mentioned about like we have faith, but if we're not doing works along with it, that's not the whole picture, right? So then we need to understand why we're gonna do those deeds. Like what? So that's what you were talking about. This action for versus action from. So are we taking action? Are we serving in a particular way because we're gonna get something out of it? That would be the for piece, knowing that in the end that we're going to get something back. But that from is really when we take action from a point where there's brokenness or there's compassion for that other person. And that's really what's motivating us. That's that Jesus piece, right? So love like Jesus, to see what that other person needs. And then I'm going to give up something in order to serve them in that way. Love that. And,
we're going to try to be real practical. We're going to get to some practical steps too. But I think one of the maybe first really practical things to do here is, as we're looking at that idea of what's my motivation? Okay, I understand theologically I'm the body of Christ here on earth. I'm his hands and feet. That's great, but I don't feel it. I don't have that, I'd be doing it out of a different motivation. I think maybe the first and foremost practical step here would be, as a group, as a leader, start asking for the heartbreak. Start praying together. God, would you give me, I don't want to just be your hands and feet. I want to have your heart. I want to see people the way you see people. I think we've all been in the boat of feeling that disconnect of I know I should be, but I'm not, I don't know why I'd be doing it. And so just asking, I think Jesus is so willing to give that. Like he wants to teach us, he wants to help us. And so, we're told to have the mind of Christ, right? We're told to share the mind of Christ in unity with one another. But that means knowing what he knows and seeing what he sees, like viewing the world the way he views the world. And sometimes we've got to ask for that. And so I think just starting even just with prayer amongst your group, God, even confession, Lord, my heart isn't broken for what I see around me. Would you give me that heartbreak? What is breaking your heart that you want me to do something about? That's what gets you to that place of doing it, from rather than just for. Like, oh, well, I'm doing it because Dave and Adrian and Marjorie keep hounding me to do it. Please, that's not what we want at all. Right. What we want is a heart, the overflow of a heart that says, Jesus would fix this if he was here, but he sent me to do it instead. Right. And so that's the love like Jesus component of God. Give me a heart for what breaks your heart. Help me to see it and to feel it. We talked back in, I think it was the Altar series about the two ladies who were, I forget exactly where they were now, but they were kind of like missionaries in this place and they've been trying to make an impact, and they wrote to their leader and were like, hey, nothing's working, we're going to give up. And his response was, try tears. And that's always been so impactful to me. But like, sometimes I think we shy away from tears thinking, I shouldn't be sad about anything. There's a lot in the world that should break our heart. And if that's not the case, then I think we should ask for it, is all I'm trying to say.
Yeah. So when we're looking for that heartbreak, that compassion, that peace, that action from peace, usually that's addressing some physical need with somebody. That's giving them clothes or food, or usually, typically, that's that. So the second part of the mission statement is to leave an eternal impact. So that's taking it to the next level. If we're able to maybe address a physical need, then that takes away that unsteady, footing that somebody might have there, where all they're thinking about is, I'm hungry and I need something to eat, or I need shelter, or I don't have any clothes. If we can address those physical needs, then they can be more open to hearing the gospel, right? Which is part of making disciples. Now we have an opportunity to say, or they might question, like, why in the world are you doing this? Why are you doing this for me? Why'd you show up to serve like this? And why are you treating me with such compassion when everybody else won't even look me in the eye, right? So it gives us that opportunity when we now have a brokenness for someone in the community to then follow it up, like take that next step to say, I'm doing this because Jesus loves you. And I love you because of that. And that's the witness of my faith for you, right? So that next level of encouragement through scripture or Bibles or invitation to join a small group, right? Or to come on a Sunday morning. Because ultimately that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to reach the lost. And this is one of those amazing ways through mission that we can do that.
And I think it's often maybe simpler than we think it is.
Absolutely.
We certainly make things more complicated than they need to be at times. And so sometimes when we think of outreach, I think the thought goes from outreach to like evangelism, where I've got to be the guy, going door to door and like doing that sort of thing. And most of us, there might be a few people who feel gifted and called to that, but most of us, that there's an aversion to that. But that's not what we mean in outreach or even by witnessing. Witnessing isn't just let me go out on a street corner and shout, just tell people about my faith. It's the showing of, again, there's a better king and there's a better kingdom. There's a better way to live. One of the best ways throughout all of church history that's been shown is through this simple act of service, of sacrifice, of like it was so shocking to the world for people to give up their time, to give up their money, to give up their resources, to lay down themselves or their stuff or for the benefit of someone else. That is meeting the physical need.
Right.
That opens that doorway. The question that usually comes then is why? Why would you do that? Because there's a better king and there's a better kingdom. I live according to a different standard. Yeah. This isn't, I've got to be able to unpack the Romans Road, or, I've got to unpack all the Gospels of somebody. This is just, I met a guy, he's the king of the universe, and he's got a better way to live, and I'm just trying to follow him. That's witness to that leaves an eternal impact. I said it right. I've had a struggle for days that I can't say the word eternal.
Write that down.
That it leaves an eternal impact. That it's not, yes, it starts with meeting the practical, but the witness is, I'm doing this, I'm planting seeds, I'm doing all this because there's a better king and there's a better kingdom. And that is what the meeting the physical need opens the door for them to then understand the spiritual part of that as well. So,
well, and you even said about planting the seed, because I think sometimes also you can get so caught up in like, I don't see the impact of what I did when I went and helped at this outreach partnership or whatever it might be. But it is when you ask God to break your heart for what breaks his, that you don't have to see that always. You just have to know, like, I'm doing this for the right reason. My heart is in the right place, that I want to do this because this is what God has called me to do. And so I think that has really helped me when I've been somewhere where I'm like, oh, maybe I didn't get to see the full impact of what I did. Maybe I just felt like I had a small piece in it. That's okay too. Like, that is a lasting impact in itself. And so I think just like preparing yourself for that as well, that sometimes you don't see the start to finish, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And that comes back to that action for versus action from.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you go so that you would feel good
and be seen and or have numbers
and sometimes there can be like really bad motives in that, but sometimes it's like not necessarily like you're a wicked person because you go and you want to feel something, but at the same time to have the perspective that goes, hey, I'm not doing this just for what I'm going to get out of it. What you get out of it may come much further down the road. Jesus talks about storing up crowns in heaven and all that sort of stuff that we could get into at another time. But we're doing it not for that, but we're doing it for the service of not only witnessing to the King and his kingdom, but to opening up the hearts of others by meeting their needs. And so it maybe sounds just repetitive to some degree, but it's like, it's not about you. The same thing, I had somebody sitting next to me during worship one time, and I was in a little bit of a grumpy mood, if I'm honest. And they leaned over to me and they were like, I don't really like this song. And I said, well, I guess it's really good we're not singing this song to you then, huh? And it was a little snarky. That's a snarky response. But that's the heart of kind of what we're talking about. Like, hey, you may not like what you're doing in a service project. It's a good thing we're not doing it for you.
Right.
It's not for that. And again, I don't want to make it all like super convicting or anything, but having a right perspective is really helpful to go, hey, look, it doesn't have to feel a certain way for it to be worth doing.
Right. And also, just to leverage off that, there are ways to serve where you are directly in contact with that end person who receives it. And then there are times to serve where you're the hands and feet behind it. You help to set up the project so that it can move forward for that eternal impact. So again, plays to that action from what am I okay enough being behind the scenes, working this thing, knowing that I'm not face to face with the end recipient, right? But what I'm doing is still important, and it's still important for the kingdom. And I can still be praying for the person who's going to receive this clothing that I'm folding. I can be praying for their household and their the children who are going to receive these things. So there's so many different, like, we don't have to all be that, I'm out there, like you said, I'm out there on a soapbox, with a megaphone. There are so many different ways to serve, and that leads us right into the everywhere we go, right? It doesn't have to be that I'm going to to this one specific place, and that is my check the box, and I'm going to do this thing, right? We need to pray for awareness. We need to pray that throughout our day, we have the opportunity to love like Jesus, right? To leave an eternal impact, whether we're in Costco or we're at the, preschool pickup line or sitting on the soccer field, watching, our kids practice, that there are opportunities there for us to be on mission and to serve very specifically. So it's everywhere we go. We go to Honduras. Well, we don't have to go to Honduras to be on that mission.
Yeah.
People were on mission filling their backpacks here, sponsoring the kids that they sponsor here. And I don't know if that leads us into like our practical applications or not.
Perfectly.
Yes. So you might be thinking, okay, well, we've given a lot of things to convict you over, right? For you to have conversation in your groups. How do you even get started? Well, guess what? The outreach registration page has some great ongoing opportunities. So you just need to take a look at that, and they get updated frequently. Look at that and see, when your group can come, or even what I think it had suggested at another leader group meeting was you go and experience it, because then you can come back and you can speak to it. Much easier to lead. Now you're more familiar with one of our partners. You're familiar with this process. You might have seen an additional opportunity that your small group could do as a layer in addition to that. So, that's the easiest way, I think, is to get started that way. If we're looking out in our community, we all know somebody who could use a little bit of help, a little bit of extra help. What does that look like? A meal because somebody was in a hospital, or maybe some relief for hospice. Somebody's, sitting with a cancer patient and just needs a break. Those kinds of things. So again, we're praying for that awareness. Practically, just feel the Holy Spirit calling you to act or interact with somebody. When you're out and about.
I think those are great. We talked about, having your eyes open, in the familiar stranger, he's got this whole quote. I won't read the whole thing, but he basically says, there's just one simple requirement for being a witness. Your eyes have to be open. And I think that's such just an important but very simple, practical idea. Like and this can apply again individually, just as you're going about your day, in your workplace, in your neighborhood, in your family, whatever it might be. But the same kind of thing just applies as your group, like just having your eyes open to the options and the possibilities as a group. As your group members are coming, say you meet at your house, are you paying attention to what's going on in your neighborhood? Is there a neighbor who's struggling to, get their groceries in? Or I don't know. I'm really bad at coming up with examples. But there's somebody who's their whole yard is just totally overgrown. Like, how could you, as a group, have your eyes open to, hey, that's an opportunity for me to serve, to reach out, to show the kind of things that we're talking about. Even I just heard an example actually on Sunday. Somebody shared with me, they were in a group. I don't know all the details, but essentially they got to a situation where there was this young child who essentially needed foster care, like immediately. And she was able to step in and do it because I think she was somehow related to the person. Her group found out about this and was like, hey, what do you need? They basically, like, she had a registry for all the stuff she was going to need to take care of this kid. They bought all the stuff on the registry. She showed up to group the next week. They threw a baby shower for her. Like that is a simple, practical, yes, it's not necessarily outreach in the sense of you're going out into the community, but it's still having your eyes open. It's an example of just having your eyes open to the opportunities and the possibilities that are often just right in front of your face. And we're sometimes making it like, oh, I've got to plan this big thing and I've got to get all the, and sometimes it's way simpler than we're making it out to be. And so
Can I just say too, if you do feel like this idea of like, I'm trying to every week prepare for group, and then now you guys are asking me to really like do all these things, plans, like you might already have someone in your group that this is their gifting. Like, I think sometimes it can feel like a lot when you're trying to do it all on your own, but really you're creating an opportunity for somebody else to maybe walk in their gifting. And so I would definitely encourage that too. Like, open it up to your group as you are praying, for your eyes to be open to see the needs in your community or to serve at an outreach partnership. So often I'm like, don't put that all on you. Like, you have someone in your group that really could thrive in that and enjoy it, and you could then prep for each week. And so all of us obviously want to have our eyes open, but if you need someone to kind of own that,
hey, to that point, just having your eyes open to the people that are in your group and what they're capable of, what they're like, where their heartbeat is, and that sort of thing. We've talked before, it might have been a while ago, but there's kind of like 3 different types of leaders in groups. There's in leaders, there's up leaders, and there's out leaders. The in leaders are very like kind of community oriented. I'm going to get people together. This is not me. I'm not the guy that's like, all right, guys, we're going to go have fun together. Like, I'm the up leader. I'm the guy that wants to go, hey, let's point towards God here. Let's get our focus there. But then there's people that are out leaders that are like, hey, I'm going to motivate you guys. We're going to get you guys going. Those people are probably in your group already. And creating opportunity, letting people know, hey, listen, this is a heartbeat of mine. I don't have the capacity for it right now. Is there anybody who does? Like, just asking the question. Don't say people's no for them. Like, don't just assume that nobody's going to want to, everybody's too busy. Nobody, like, don't make that assumption. Ask the question and let people, let people say what they're going to say, but create the opportunity. Don't feel like you have to own every piece of it. You don't have to try to be all 3 types of leaders. Find, identify, come to know. This is the idea of shepherding your flock and knowing your flock. Who are these people? What are they like? What are their bents? Are some of them bent towards outreach? Let's give them opportunity. So that's a great point you bring up, though.
So as we're starting to wrap up, what if somebody's listening to all of this and they're like, okay, well, I have this idea or somewhere I want to serve, but I need help. I feel a little stuck. What would we say to that?
We would say there's going to be a Google form.
There's always a Google form.
There's always a Google form. If you have an idea or a particular partner maybe you might be interested in learning more about, or you've gone to the registration page and you've said, look, it's a Saturday morning and that's just not going to work for our group. What can we do? I can certainly help point you in the right direction, connect you maybe directly with that partner for, I'll call it a one-off, a special event, or maybe you could do a collection for them and deliver it at a certain time. So we'll have, a way for you to ask those questions so that we can get you on the right road and you don't have to feel stuck with that.
Always a way to serve. And then I know you and I kind of talked about this of like, if someone had an idea of maybe someone that's not our partner, but they're like, I'm going to go to the firehouse and drop off supplies. We had talked about really it would be helpful for us to know that because in all of Marjorie's work with different organizations, you kind of have an inside scoop of some of the things that, they really love this, or hey, your group's going to put all these resources in, and this isn't even something that would be helpful to them.
Right. Yeah, there's, in particular, like the firehouse, there's a culture there that we need to understand and respect. And so, we think we're loving on them by making homemade casseroles and baking homemade cookies. They have a different feeling about that. I won't go into the details, but just already knowing, or, if you're going to make brown bag lunches for the well, understanding who's going to ultimately receive those and what makes sense as that eternal impact, how you want to share with them, keeping the message simple or being able to go a little bit deeper, understanding kind of your audience. And I might have someone that I know that's connected with that, even though they aren't technically a partner with us. That's fine. But I do want to make sure people understand that we do have
Yeah.
partners.
Yeah.
There's also another resource that's hanging on the outreach wall near the cafe. It's a trifold, and it has just a brief explanation of each one of our partners, who they are, what they do.
Nice.
And, if you're looking for a particular area in the community, like our heart is really broken for women, we're a women's group, or, the homeless, whatever that looks like, we can point you toward a partner that works with that particular part of the community. So that's another way to start too, is like find where that heartbreak is in the community, and then I can match you up with one or two partners that actually work with that segment.
Yeah, that's great.
Love it.
Great. All right, now Dave, we've talked about this book.
Yes.
Where can they buy the book?
Yeah.
It's available in the lobby.
In the email that we're sending you with the link to this video that you're watching, there's also going to be a link to a PDF that has the chapter that we've been referring to in this book. It's a chapter called Witness, but it contains a lot of the ideas we're talking of, and then actually a lot more that we didn't have time for. So you can read through that. We're just going to give that to you. If you want the whole book, like you're like, I keep hearing about this book, I want it, let us know. We'll buy it for you. You can get it on Amazon, like if you just want to buy it, but we'll buy it for you if you can't buy it. Just let us know. We'll get a bunch of them. We'll distribute them to you somehow or another. But we want to give you that resource. We think it's really helpful, not just in this conversation, although very much in this conversation, but in a lot of other areas as well. And so,
guys, I don't like reading at all, and this book, I'm like,
yes,
it's incredible. It's changing my life, truly.
It's a bit of a treasure around here at this point. So, I would really encourage you. At least read the chapter that we'll give you in the PDF. If you want the rest of it, let us know, and we'll find a way to get it to you. That's it. I mean, we're pretty much done? I think that's it. So listen, I just want to say, we love you guys. We're here for you. We're trying to come alongside of you and help you. We know and understand. We've all led groups. Some of us are leading groups even right now, but we understand the challenges that come with trying to do this. And so we want to help support you. If you've got questions, if you've got ideas, but you don't know how, all that sort of thing, please reach out to us. We'd love to help you. Our heart is for you and for seeing you and us, everybody come together to accomplish the mission we've all been called to do. So thank you guys so much. We're so grateful for you and your leadership. And we can't wait to see the fruit of what comes from all this. So thank you all so much.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.